Making Minecraft feel like a real world that people live in is easier than you think it is. One of the first things that I love doing is adding docks to your world so you can go fishing off these bad boys. And usually I just go ahead and start off with some wood slab action like this. And then I go back through and I add in some random areas where there's gonna be a couple of campfires. And I'll show you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take this water bottle and just throw up and I'm gonna miss, and I'm gonna throw and extinguish all these fires, so you don't have to worry about that. If you want to do a cheaper way to do this, you can literally just take a water bucket, and I'll show you. You can take a water bucket and then just put the water bucket on it, you know what I mean? And then, you know, if you weren't in creative mode, you know, you can just take a bucket. I can't spell. You can take a water bucket and just get rid of the water, and, you know, it's way cheaper than using splash water bottles. And then after that, I just go ahead and put down some... That's not right. As I was saying, and then after that, I go ahead and put down some cool wood planks, and then I'll go ahead and put a little fence on that, right? And then after that, we'll probably do a little lantern action, because who the heck doesn't love a good lantern? And then there we go. There you have it. So there's our dock, and I think it's super simple, super easy, and it looks really nice. And if you want to take this thing further, we can grab some mossy cobblestone, walls, put that under the water, and then have the fence posts come all the way down to the bottom of the sea floor like that. So it's like there's, you know, like some kind of supports, and that's beautiful. It's so simple as well. Look at that. Amazing. And now this whole area feels like, you know, people actually fish here. Something else that I do to make the world feel like it's a little bit more lived in is I like creating these little wooden, downed log bundles. So I'll just go ahead and put a couple of pieces of wood log down like that. I usually do 5, so I can have 2 in the middle there, and I'll go ahead and fill all this in here, right? And then we'll put probably 1 up here like that. We'll get rid of this just because we'll need that, and then we'll take the railway, and then we'll kind of, you know, put it up against the wood like this. And I'm sure you've seen this, but this is one of my favorite things to do. I do really like doing this thing. You can also like offset one of the logs, so it's like, you know, so it's like indented like that, which I think looks really cool as well. So yeah, I love doing that, and it makes it look it looks like there's, you know, some kind of wood logging, you know, place around here somewhere, because, you know, obviously a person had to tie those logs up there. That didn't happen in the you know, with nature. Something else that can be really cool is using buttons around your world. So you can just put a couple of stone buttons down. It looks like there's tiny little rocks on the ground, which is really pretty cool. So you can kind of decorate an area, make it like there's, like, you know, small rocks, or if you want to put them on trees, you can go ahead and put little, you know, little fixtures on trees. Have it like there's little things sticking out, you know, just things to make it look like there's a little more life in the world, which looks really, really cool. You know, if you have some trees you don't want to chop down, you can just go ahead and decorate those things so they look a little bit nicer, which I think is really pretty cool. And let's say that night falls in your Minecraft world, and you need a little bit of light because it's getting kind of dark out there. Well, I got you, don't worry. You could, of course, just go around and put some torches down, but that doesn't look, you know, that good. So instead of cluttering your entire world with a bunch of torches, when you get a little bit more materials, you can go ahead and make some cool lantern posts by putting, you know, a little stone wall, some fences, or you can just put like a little, you know, a little lantern there. Now, if you want to get a little bit more fancy, that already looks pretty good. I like the way it looks. You know, you can imagine like a path going through here down the little hill. But, you know, if you want to get a little more fancy, you can go a little crazier. So you can go ahead and raise this up by a couple more blocks, maybe 2, maybe 3, who knows? Get a little crazy with it. You can put like either a wax copper bulb down, right? And you need like a lever, I think, for one of these bad boys or something like that, I think. Hold. Boom. Yeah. Beautiful. And then you can go ahead and put the trap doors on that bad boy. And then you can probably put like a little slab on here too, if you're feeling really frisky. Maybe something like this. And there you go. You have yourself a cool little street lamp, which I think looks pretty nice. I like the way that looks. You can use different, you know, trap doors, different slabs. And of course, instead of, you know, the copper bulb, you can of course just do glowstone, or you can do a redstone lamp and power this bad boy with a daylight sensor or whatever, which wouldn't really make sense because it's nighttime. But, you know, you can do something. And the last thing you can do is make these cool custom trees instead of having to rely on, and these aren't too difficult. I will say it does take a little bit of practice. I made this in literally just a few seconds, but you can kind of do really whatever you want, essentially, but you do want to make sure you steer clear away from a few things. So let me explain. I usually start off with just like a little bit of a base, you know, you're not trying to really think about, okay, I'm going to put this block here and this here. You kind of just like, you want it to feel more natural. So just go ahead and put a couple blocks down and start with a base, and then we'll kind of pick a block and we'll go up from there, right? This is going to be our main stalk, and then we'll have like another root stalk right here where it kind of goes up a little bit, and then maybe we'll pull that back like that, you know, and then we'll go up here. And instead of going straight up like this, because that looks a little unnatural, let's go ahead and pick an area, and once we feel like we've gone up a little bit enough, we'll go off to a specific direction, and then maybe I'll go off in a different direction after that as well. And then we have something like this, which looks pretty good. So then we'll go up, and maybe I want to curve this one inwards again like that before it finishes off. So that's our main branch for the tree. That's like the main root, I guess, as it were. And I'm sure if you were doing like a bigger tree, I'm sure you can go off and do like, you know, branches and stuff. But for the size tree that I want to do, I feel like maybe just 1 or 2 of these is sufficient. You know what I mean? And once we have that done, we need to pick and see where we want to put our leaves. So I want 2 bundles, maybe 3. So let's do 1 bundle of leaves down here, and I'll kind of just rotate around it and put some leaves in some random areas, not really, you know, trying to put it in any specific areas. In general, I'm kind of just putting them around, making sure nothing sticks out like, you know, that, because it looks kind of weird. And we're kind of just going with the flow here, and maybe 1 there, maybe 1 there, 1 there, something like this. Yeah, something along these lines. And I think that will be good to go. So there we go. Nice. So that's our first bundle of leaves, which looks really good. I like that a lot. And then we'll do our next bundle of leaves up here, and this one will be a bigger bundle. It'll connect these 2 pieces over here, and then we'll kind of just build off that. And again, I'm not trying to think about where I'm putting these leaves. I'm kind of just, you know, throwing them around, filling out any gaps. You know, the gaps is the really important part. You don't want to have something that looks, you know, like this. You know what I mean? That just looks a little unnatural. So let's go ahead and maybe cut that back, leave a piece there, you know, and then we'll come from this angle, make sure everything's all right. It looks pretty good. It does look kind of thin, so maybe we'll widen it out a little bit by just adding a little bit of a rim, and then we'll maybe fill the top a little bit. There you go, there you go. That's how you do it. And beautiful. We've kind of made like our own acacia tree. I don't know if we have an acacia biome. I don't think we do. We kind of made our own little custom tree here. And then the last step that I usually do is I usually go ahead and put some of these bad boys on here. So I'll do the darker colors at the roots down here, and then I'll probably do some lighter colors up top for a little bit of the branches in some specific areas. Beautiful, beautiful. There you go. And maybe 1 there. Yeah, sure. And we can add in the buttons that I talked about earlier, and we can add these buttons in for some more detail like that, right? And then maybe another button there, maybe a button there. Oh, that's nice. Oh, no, not. You don't want to put too many. You don't want buttons like back to back. You don't want any like designs near each other. So you probably don't want to do this and have these all be like right next to each other, because it looks kind of weird. So make sure you put a little bit of space between your things. You know what I mean? And then you should be pretty good from there on out. There you go. Beautiful. So there's our custom trees, and these are like super useful. You can also dig the roots into the ground as well, and have them like kind of spiral out this direction and that direction and whatnot. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So there you go. That's our custom tree action right there, which I really, really enjoy. I want to make more of these. I don't make enough custom trees in this game. I should do more. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for today's video, man. I hope you guys enjoyed and learned something new about some kind of cool building tip for Minecraft to make things feel a little bit more real in your world. I'll see you guys in the next one. Give me a slippity slap on the high five. Psst, and I'll see you guys later.